Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. And as you can see, I'm doing things a little different. I have company with me. I have my mom Morvia and my big brother Corey, and we're just gonna have a little conversation about the panic attack that I had recently. We're just gonna have a brief conversation just to see what their perspective was of what happened. Because you know, when panic attack happens, it doesn't just happen to the person experiencing it, but it also affects those that are around them. So, all right, I'm gonna just kind of turn it over to them. I want to hear what was the initial feeling that you guys had. Anyone can chime in at any point. What was the initial feeling that you had when you first realized that I was having a panic attack versus afterwards?
Okay, I'll go first. When I saw what was happening, to be honest, I've never seen it before, so I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was just one of those regular, feeling that you get when you're at a funeral. You know what I'm saying? I have no clue what was going on. So, but when I realized that she was in it for a while, going on like shaking, feeling numbness in the hand, numbness in her legs, headaches, and that was going on for a period, a very long period. I realized that this is not normal. This is not, it is not normal. So we took her to the doctor, yes, and I personally thought that maybe in a minute, in an hour or so, she would start feeling better. Well, it didn't happen. The first thing that came to me is, well, not really first, but one of the things that came to my mind is, okay, anywhere I'm to get the money from, I'm gonna have to find the best doctor in this, around to get her better, because I did not like to see what I was seeing. And so that's where my head was all over the place. Okay, where am I gonna get this? I have to get this money wherever it is to come from, so I can get the best treatment for her, because I did not like what I was seeing. So,
and for me, while we were reading the eulogy, right? When we're there, everything seemed normal. Even in the times of pausing and stopping, it just seemed normal in regards to somebody who's grieving. That's my take on that side. So that's why when we came up there to do the moral support thing, we were like, oh, because part of me was like, maybe I should take it and do it, and but I just found it to be normal, grieving things, like, but when it was more of an issue is when you finished, and then we went behind the little curtain thing, and then you went down, your body went limp. Then you start saying that you have ants on your face. Did you see ants on my face? I think I have ants on my face. And I'm like, oh. Like for me, that seemed off. It was way off. I'm like, yo, there's no ants on your face. What are you talking about? Then you couldn't really walk. So then I figured, okay, let's get you from the space where everybody is to a space where nobody, or virtually nobody is. And then you'll probably be able to calm down. And in calming down, more likely, kind of like snap out of it type of deal. When I realized that was more severe was when, in regards to speech, the slurring of the speech, and the questions you were asking, which were asking me if I was your big brother, and stuff like that. So that's when I realized that something is a little bit more, it's more in depth than just simply just grieving. So then I figured, hey, maybe it's best to get you from the place in general, the whole funeral itself. Yeah. All right. So when we're leaving, it's like that's kind of like spur of the moment type of thought, right? But when we're leaving and we're leaving the area, you then started thinking more about the funeral, because our uncle was not actually, lowered into the ground or whatever. So you start thinking about that, say that you're gonna miss that. And I'm like, shoot, I was wondering if you're gonna spiral on that thing, or was it a good thing to get you away from everybody? Because I figured if you're around everybody, the emotion is there, and you know what I mean. And everybody, you know, some people kind of don't understand how these things are because they didn't know what was on your personal plate that you know would have this as a thing that's a tipping point. So yeah, really, that was the biggest time that I really realized that oh, you know, this is more serious. And the thing that went through my mind was, hey, you know, whether you could come back from that. That was the biggest thing. That was my biggest concern was whether you could come back because in our town down there, there's people, you know, it's like one or two people that had a break and just never came back, and you know, and that was the biggest concern, you know. That was the most realistic. I think it's true. You only see these things from afar. You never really expect it within your circle, right? And you know when it happens, my belief is always logic over everything. Stay calm, don't freak out, even though you're freaking out type of deal, right? Because freak out don't help the person. I always say that. I always figure anytime accidents and stuff like freak out never helps anybody. It's just somebody has to be like, you know, that's why like, you know, the people who work in the fields where, you know, they help people safe. They always stay calm because you're in the moment of panic. Yes. So, you know, you are in a moment of panic. And I think panic and grief are just, it's like if you sink in panic, grief is another weight added to that sinking, you know, so yeah, that was my thing.
Wow.
I you know, Corey was saying to me that, Mommy, you can't be panic. You can't be acting like this around you because then it's gonna make things worse. But it was so hard not to lose it.
Yeah.
You know, it was very hard for me because I felt very helpless. I couldn't do anything, and one of the things that hit me really hard is when you said to me, "Are you my mommy?" And I'm like, oh my God, she's not recognizing me or what?
Yeah.
You know, so that really hit me hard. So it was definitely hard for me to act, you know, calm, and I tried, but you know, it was very hard. And then I realized that she was kind of sensing what was going on with me because she knows exactly the type of person I am. And it was very, very hard. It wasn't easy.
When I think about how this thing transpired, right? In the actual time when you were like, you know, I have my big brother, and I'm like, yo, listen, you know, I was like, calm. And you were repeating, you're like,
yes,
calm. You're like, I remember big brother. I'm like, yes, I remember big brother. And you're like, okay, calm. So I think, honestly, when a person is entering into like a nervous breakdown or a panic attack or whatever, I think they know that there's something horribly wrong, right? They might can't explain it fully, but they know 100% that something is horribly wrong.
Right.
I think it was cool in the fact that you could talk yourself into saying, all right, calm.
Yeah.
You know, even though that was like one of the most horrible things you're in right there, and I don't think people realize when you're the person going through it, it's a different perspective than you who is saying, oh, stay calm, right? Because I was like, oh, all I gotta do is stay calm, you know, and you're like, you know, in a world where you're like, it's just, even hearing the word calm is a panicking thing. Because, okay, calm from what? You know, what the hell is going on? So I think that was a good thing to be able to actually see that, you know, okay, well, let me try at the very least. Because this was in the 100% initial state of you know, the panic attack.
So I don't remember much, but I do actually remember that particular moment because before that I was like, I think I remember asking like, am I going crazy? I think I asked for like, am I going crazy? And he's like, no, no, you're not. So then after just having that person there in that moment that is calm, I know we've repeated the word calm so many times, but that person that is calm, you know, being logical in the moment, it actually helped me to kind of to try to get back to reality, you know. So I did like that. Actually, I appreciated that one, having that support so much.
I think as people, we're supposed to understand the psychology of one another. Like if you have family, friends, or family, or whatever, once you come in contact with other people, I feel like you should read stuff about some psychological stuff. Not, you know, you don't have to go too deep or whatever. I do a lot of reading and watching some videos and stuff like that, because that stuff intrigues me. I've always been intrigued by how the brain works. And while this was going on, it kind of messed me up, because it's like it almost brings to remembrance or to memory some of the things that you have read.
Yeah.
So it's like you're preparing yourself, possibly, while I was doing it for myself. You know, you never know who, you know, so then now, and I'm the type of person where, like, a lot of people call me and they have things, and then I always want to, you know, I always ask God, like, you know, help me give the advice that is necessary for the problem to whatever the person's asking.
Yeah.
So it's not just my take on a thing. And so, you know, in reading the things and like researching some of these things, it was clear to me that in the time of this deep trouble, right, you know, you cannot over express, because then you add to the person's you know, like, weight, you know what I'm saying? Which is why I was always telling you to I think it's best if you cannot control, which again, saying this stuff is easy or whatever, but when you cannot control it, I think it's best you not be around the person. I've always said it, and whosoever can do it, you know, go in and take care of the thing or whatever. And then when you are calm, you're going, and whenever you feel like you're getting overwhelmed again, you take yourself, you know, like you always take yourself out the picture.
And that is why a lot of times when she's in certain, you know, when the attack comes on, I would call you, because sometimes I cannot be around her based on what was happening. I couldn't handle, so I would always come and say, you know, you come and see what's going on, you know.
My thing is, I couldn't handle neither, but I had to handle because I know that it was necessary, right? And everybody has a limit, right? My limit is just I could do it and then go and deal with it, you know, deal with whatever emotions I have separate of the time, and just know that this is necessary, you know, it has to be done. So even for people out there, you know, whosoever can is who should. And if the person is like saying, oh, I don't want to hear you tell me to be calm, then you just have to figure out other ways to get it done, you know, because that does get annoying. I believe.
Because we would keep on telling her, take some deep breath, take some deep breath, and sometimes she's like, oh, the breath is not, this is not working.
That's hard.
So looking back, is there anything you guys think you would have done differently?
Not me. I would have had you know, and I'm gonna say it because I told everybody not to have you do it in the first place.
Yes, that's one thing.
I was adamant at it, and I was very upset.
Not doing it, not for not doing it.
In regards to like you doing, because knowing who you are and how you're set up, in regards to know that if you were any part of it, you take on all this extra stuff, per them asking or the family asking or whatever, and not being able to really say no. And that was my issue with that. So I was very upset in that regard, because I believe that it could be avoided. However, I don't know that you would not have had a panic attack somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in that moment, I felt like I could handle it, and I wanted to read the eulogy, because, you know, I felt like, you know, that I didn't have a tribute, I didn't contribute to a tribute, so it's like that felt like my tribute, especially because of the fact that I wrote it. So, you know, I felt like I could do it in the moment. But even when I was reading, I didn't really feel any like anxiety or any panic or anything like that. So it just kind of like came out of nowhere the second I stopped reading.
And the thing is, something happened that changed the trajectory of that eulogy, right? And this is what I mean by that. The funeral has a program, and if everybody had done what they were supposed to do at the time, by the time you got to your thing, it would have been where you could have done it, I believe, with no issues, personally. But right before you, because there was a tribute that was supposed to be done, and right before you were to go up, the person that was supposed to do the tribute, which was our cousin, our uncle's daughter, when she went up and did her tribute, that thing was so touching that it shift. And in that shift, it's like it breaks down already a wall that you had built up to do your thing. So when you break down that wall now, it's like now you go up there and that thing hit hard. So you don't really have much left to pull from, and I think that was really I think that was the not blaming nobody, right? But that was the thing that because you had the strength to really you really had the strength to read that.
And I went through it all.
And I mean, I'm pretty sure you could have done it, and but when I saw that I was even talking to Ron about it. Cause when I saw that, I was like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna really kind of, you know what I'm saying? So you see what. This is my thing. Everything happens for a reason. I know that's a cliche thing, right? But my thing was, and still is, what have you learned from this experience, and that you will use to then never have this experience again? And this is how I think. Some people learn by let's say I can learn from what I saw and say, hey, I would never want to happen, right? Some people see that could never happen to me, and then they don't learn until it's them. You know what I mean? So for the people that do go through stuff like this, my thing is, what have you learned that you would then now use to carry through life? Let's say you got a second chance, because some people get a break and never come back. And then per what we discussed with the doctor, and he was like, every time you have an attack, it's worse than the last. I think some people don't get that opportunity. Some people get one, and that's it, right? So if you have the opportunity now, you always have to really question, how do I just not put myself in that scenario again? Because after the whole panic, right, attack, people have to understand, right, that you have a whole other set of stuff. You have the doctor visits, and you did not like doctors at all. And then now, based on what we went down for, it was a funeral, so it wasn't like a lot of time. And this type of stuff requires a lot of visits and a lot of time and a lot of, you know what I mean? So everything really was, it was like the worst time to have, not that there's a good time, but stuff like that. So it really was a, I don't really want to use the word tragic, but it was definitely a horrible experience.
It was hard not being able to speak well, to walk, and not having enough energy to even brush my teeth or anything like that, or to feed myself. So having the support was definitely key in helping me to be where I am today. Obviously prayer really helped, but having that physical support, the family support definitely helped. So what would you guys say? I know Corp provided some helpful tips to family members or people that are support, but from your experience, what would you say to someone that is that's going through this, like either the person that's actually experiencing the panic attack or the support system that they have around them?
Well, I would say to the support system to be patient, to listen, to see, what the person that is experiencing the panic, what triggers the panic attack. Because if you know exactly what triggers it, or some of the things, you won't know everything, but some of the things that triggers the attack, then you try to keep, if you can, to keep that away from the person, stuff like that.
That's true. Because I remember when sounds would really affect me, and it's like everyone would just be like super quiet, put their phones on vibrate and stuff like that. It was,
Yeah, you would need like a part 2 for all the triggers you had in regards to this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't go in the car. The
was
car
super
would be-
sensitive.
Yeah, you couldn't go down the stairs.
And like we found it was close, because as you know, Isaac, I mean, Ethan is autistic, so it was so close to our autistic son in regards to some of the sensory stuff, it's like, wow, so, yeah, but no, you see, outside of the patients, right, I think you should be very observant so you can then figure out the triggers. I think because triggers are different for everybody, you would have to figure out for your family member or whatever, yourself, whatever the triggers are, and literally stay away from that. I mean, as frustrating as it might feel or seem, let's stay away from it, right? And then now, if the person is, because while they're going through, then you have the depression factor of it. So while they're going through and you're feeling depressed, so the person's gonna get antsy, kind of like upset very quick and stuff. You can take some of that stuff to heart, right? So you have to, like you said, patience. But I think patience is one thing, but patience with care is another, right? And patience with certain things in mind, is what I think you really need in this time. And then let's get it done. I think we have to have attitude where, hey, just have to do what I have to do. I'm not the most like sentimental type of guy, but in regards to family members getting through something, I think it's necessary. Put in your time, put in your work, and that's it. I think some people get too caught up in the drama part of these things that they end up actually lose loved ones in the scenario based on what is said or whose feelings were, were hurt. And so while really it's really not just one person suffering. The person who had the panic attack is suffering, and the family members are suffering. So we have to really, if I'm stronger in this scenario where I'm not the one that had the panic attack, then I have to kind of fall back and really adjust, because the person who's having the attack can't really adjust. They're just where they are, They can't sit past that at this moment, and it takes the time to get up. So.
That's good. I really appreciate your time today. This was really good. It was a really good conversation that we had, because I on the side of being the one in the panic had moments where it's like I didn't have control over anything, but it was good knowing that I had family members that were there to take the initiative to get in touch get doctor's appointments set up, make sure that I was comfortable, I was fed on time. My dad would make sure that he brings my meals to me and stuff like that. So it takes a whole family support in order to get through something like this. And I'm very, very, very grateful. I wouldn't be able to be where I'm at today, without family, obviously with periods stuff like that, with family support, people calling and checking in and stuff like that. So yes, and friends of family giving advice and stuff like that, because they have either known someone or have actually had similar situations. But we won't keep you any longer. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I hope you like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell to hear more. All right, have a good one. Bye.